Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I'm starting now. Good evening to one and all present here. I'm Serena Charya, your host for today's session of freelance content writing. So let me take the opportunity to introduce you all to our esteemed speaker for the evening, Ms Shruti Badoni. She completed her economics major from Delhi University and started her journey a few years ago when freelancing was just emerging. And without any guidance and with sheer hard work and consistency, she is today among the top 10 freelance content writers in India. Apart from freelancing, she is also a TEDx organizer, an influential public speaker, and also a blogger, along with the founder of a writing blog called Blurry Edges. I, on behalf of SCS and IIT BHU, welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for such a great introduction.
Okay, ma'am. So, would you like to take over the mic now?
Yes, please. The second slide of the presentation. Sorry to the listeners, I was not able to present the PPT myself, so we'll have to work across. The second slide. Perfect. So, hello everybody. I have already been introduced, but I'll kind of dive deeper into what I do, how I do it, and when did I start. So, as mentioned, I am an economics major from Delhi University. I was also an MBA aspirant, like most of the people. Most of the third years that they think of. So I did my MBA prep in my third year and was all set to kind of, um, give the CAT exam and go into an MBA college and live the conventional path, as people may call it. But I was also working as a freelance content part time. Back then, I didn't know I was a freelancer because I wasn't sure of the term. But yes, it was a part time thing back then, which I later realized that I did not really see a lot of rationality in converting my economics honors degree into an MBA degree because I did not really have interest in it. All I used to do was attend the classes and then go back to work. So I thought of giving writing a real chance. Never before that had I thought that, I will actually get into content writing full time. But 2 weeks before my CAT exam, I kind of took the leap of faith and I thought that why not take this chance, take a year or two and explore this opportunity and see where life comes across. And that was when I kind of converted my part time writing career into a full time freelancing career. And I understood the term freelancing very late, probably 6 months into it, because freelancing has been booming for the last 2 years, in all honesty. Before that, we had freelancers, there was a freelance gig economy, but it was not as flourished and as booming, and not as many people were entering it. So, not many people were aware of it, including myself. So, it took me some time to understand that, okay, freelancing is an occupation of its own and it's an industry, a real legitimate industry. So once I got the hang of it, I knew this was exactly what I was going to do. And that's exactly what I'll tell you guys from scratch. How do you start it and how do you do? So this is kind of a backup on me. And let's get into the talk and let's see where it goes. So the second slide now, please. So, to start with, what is freelancing? What does it mean? What does it compile of? You will get a lot of definitions on the internet, but if you ask me, I define freelancing as a business, as any business in this world, because it requires that effort and it gives you that result. So, freelancing is nothing but a self occupation. It can be applied to any industry for that matter, from a writer to a composer, a songwriter, a choreographer, a PR consultant. Anybody can freelance as long as they are doing it from a self occupational perspective and bringing in clients. Some freelancers also work on a contract basis. You can work on a contract basis or not. That's completely up to you. So, freelancing in short is just a business that you do yourself. And it can expand if you wanted to, or it can be a sole business throughout the journey. So, are creative jobs really unconventional? Because every time I have started or reached out to anybody, or somebody has reached out to me, the first question has been, how did you get into this unconventional career prospect? So I want to let people know that the creative jobs are not unconventional, because they're as simple and as normal as any other job. If you're an accountant, you play with numbers. If you're a freelance writer, you play with words. If you're a freelance something else, you play with that particular thing. So there is nothing unconventional in being in the creative field or opting the freelance career path. And that's one thing that I think all of us need to understand, including the previous generation, to bridge the gap between our thinking and the thinking of the ones behind us, uh, in order to kind of move forward with the economy as far as it's moving. So how do we bridge this gap between convincing yourself to become a freelancer and then your parents to become a freelancer? Because of course it has a lot of risks involved. Now, bridging this gap has a lot of different options and a lot of different, approaches, and it, of course, it makes sense only to do as you may please. But I would say, to understand that this entire career economy and career opportunity is as normal as any other career is the first step towards convincing yourself and then letting your parents know about the same as well. Because I think the biggest hurdle for any freelancer to get into freelancing is to convince their family of how you can actually make a career out of it. And yes, it is risky. Yes, it's not that stable. But I think taking a year or two for the same to explore the same is the right decision at this point in time, because only when we are young, we can take that risk. Only when we are young, we have the least responsibilities. As and when we grow older, I tell you, responsibilities change. Responsibilities for me in the last 2 years have changed to an extent I never thought of. So while you're still in college, I think this is the best time to take that leap of faith and take the risk on board to see where it leads you. 2 years later, if it does not work out, you still have plenty of time to kind of change your direction and kind of get into something that might suit you better. So, does one need a backup? Is another question. I always say yes. I always tell people who are getting into this freelancing world to always have a backup. I always did. I still have, and I probably will in the coming years as well. No matter how amazing my professional life is moving forward, no matter how many clients I'm able to convert, no matter how monetarily stable I am never going to lose out on that backup, because in the end of the day, just how risky and unstable a business is, freelancing is probably more, because you're offering a service. Freelancers mostly offer a service and not a product. So as long as your serve, and you are your service in most terms. So as long as that service is ongoing, your business is ongoing. The day you probably even probably step back a bit in your service provision, the entire professional aspect for you can change. So I will always say to always have a backup, either academically or professionally. That is your choice. That's completely up to you. You can choose to do a degree on the side, or have a degree option on the side, that if this doesn't work out, this is what I'm going to do. Or have a side job that, if that kind of uh, gives you that support. It will take a bit more effort and a bit more hard work, but I think it's better to be safe than sorry. So yes, have a backup in whatever way that suits you. Doesn't have to kind of stick to exactly professional or academic. You can choose your way out. And is it worth the risk of a year or two? Definitely. So, freelancing is something that can either change you, make you, or break you. Changing and making, great. If it happens, I think that's the best thing that can happen to any person who wants to convert their passion into a profession. But if it breaks you, as I said, there are those years are just 2 years down the line. And if most of you are even 19, 18, 19, 20 right now, in whatever year of your college, 2 years later you'll be max 22. So you are not going to have that sudden realization of, that I'm so old and I haven't done anything, because freelancing teaches you a lot of things on hand. Doesn't matter you pass or fail, there's nothing as failure if you've tried once. So it is worth the risk of a year or two. But yes, being practical, being rational, if you're 2 years into it, you're hustling hard, if you have time in hand, you think that, your responsibilities towards your family, towards yourself, towards this society, I mean, if you think that way, if that are flexible, then you can extend your time on board. But if you think you're bounded by something, then I believe 2 years is a good time to figure out if you can make a stable career out of it or not. So there's that for freelancing. If anybody has any questions, you can shoot them up in the meeting chat. I'll take them when the entire conversation ends. So yeah, and as you can see the graph right now, most of the freelancers belong to the 18 to 22 age group, which is most of us right now. Probably everybody in the chat group right now, and even 23 to 38 is a group that kind of compiles for the second largest group, second largest workforce by generation in the freelancing group. So most of the people in this gig industry range from 18 years old to 38 years old. That's 2 decades, but all of them are still in this. And even 39 to 55 plus do have a good composition in the same. So you can see how age kind of plays a role. And this is literally the best time for you to think about this seriously. So third slide. The next, okay. So skills needed to convert clients, retain clients, and building a personal brand. These are the three most important things that any freelancer has to kind of put on hold and have a strong grip at. Number one, to convert clients. Number two, to retain those converted clients. And number three, to build a personal brand. Now, when you build a personal brand, that is kind of how more and more clients come to you, more and more conversions happen, more and more lead generation happens, and the same personal brand helps you to retain those clients. Now, what are the skills needed? It's pretty simple, pretty basic, pretty straightforward. In hard skills, all you need is your core freelancing niche idea. So if I am a freelance content writer, I need to have writing skills. If you are a freelance web designer, you need to know your web designing skills at the best standard possible. If you are a freelance fashion model, for example, you need to know your poses. So it's as simple as that. In hard skills, this is all you need to know. Now, soft skills. I think soft skills for freelancers is one of the most important things, because freelancing involves a lot of client interaction one to one. So there's hardly any team involved. You directly talk to the clients directly talk to you. So you have to do everything directly on your own without any externalities involved. So soft skills, negotiation is the number one important skill that each freelancer must have. Now, by negotiation, I mean how to discuss the pay scale, how to discuss what your rates are, how to discuss what the client's budget is, and how do you bridge the gap between what the client is offering and what you're offering. So when you you decide your rates. I will tell everybody industry rates are very different from freelancing average rates of an individual, because industry rates are defined by countries. So if I'm from India and I'm working for an American client, it's very normal for them to think that I'm going to charge a lesser rate, because I'm from a developing nation and they are already sitting at a developed nation. So that, I think, is the biggest loophole that is in the freelancing industry. And to get over that is to have strong negotiation skills by understanding what monetarily you deserve and how much effort and time you're putting in, how that converts into money. So freelancers generally have a per project or a per rate price if they are a freelance content writer. And deciding this rate majorly depends on how much time it takes you to formulate a piece of content or formulate a piece of anything that you offer, and the effort that goes in, the background research that happens, and your entire totality of the skills that are involved. So you come up with a rate that does not have to be across or around industry rates at all. I keep repeating this because I think more and more freelancers need to know that you don't have to work according to industry rates. The industry rates do not define you, your rate defines you. And I'm not saying to overcharge the clients, but I'm also saying to not undercharge yourself. So once this per rate of yours, depending on your skills, time and effort involved, I can't give that rate to you. Once that is decided, you put that forward to the client, expressing everything you offer on that rate. So all the deliverables, the timelines, the extra services that you offer, for example editing, rounds of editing. So my USP is that I never put a maximum cap on the rounds of editings I do. So if I put in an article for a client, I tell them you can let me know to edit it as many times as as you want till you're satisfied, because I know that more than 2 rounds of edits from my side are not important for the from my side are not required, not important, required for the client to get what they expect. So you can have that USP in hand and let the client know that, this is what I offer. This is something that not every freelancer out there is offering, because I know not every freelance content writer offers a no maximum cap limit on the editing rounds. Most freelancers have a two edit round cap on their articles. I don't, so that kind of acts in my favor, because then clients know that, oh, we can get it edited 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. Now, doesn't matter if that happens or not. At least clients have that benefit of the doubt. So when you put that across your clients, you let them know exactly what you offer. The client will counter you with a rate. So I always tell people or students of upcoming freelancers to have a buffer rate, to have that rate, so that if uh, they send you a rate and you try to negotiate it by coming to a mid ground, your needs are still satisfied, because you need to take care of yours and the client's needs as well. Because if you kind of overcharge them, they will go to another freelancer. The freelancing industry is so big, they will find a replacement. So when they quote you a price, you have quoted a price, there is obviously a middle ground on out there. And I think that middle ground is your ceiling price. Basically, that middle ground is your ceiling price. Above this, the client does not want you to charge, and below this, you don't accept any rate at all. And be firm on that, because I think most freelancers lose out on the area where they are not able to say no. And I think that's very important in the freelancing industry, to know when you have to say no. Of course, when you're starting out, you will be underpaid, and I think that's okay. The first few months, probably 2, 3, 4 months, you can accept a rate that does not suit you the best, because then you're building a clientele. Once you have had that experience and that clientele, and you have the workflow around, then you need to charge the way that you deserve. So this is where negotiation plays a very important role. Next is effective and transparent communication. Now, why have I added these adjectives before communication? Because not only communication is required when you're talking to your clients, but effective and transparent communication is the only thing that will help you find projects, find good clients, maintain that relationship, and have a hassle-free freelancing journey. Because when you put across your opinions very honestly, uh, um, and the client puts across their opinion, in most cases honestly, that's the only way the two thinking processes align together, and that's the only way how you can build a trustworthy relationship with the client. So if for example, let's talk on the rate part itself. So if you quote something to the client and the client doesn't agree, and you agree to the client's price from a half-hearted approach, you will not perform well. I'm telling you, this is something I can give in writing. If you accept a rate that is not justifying your efforts, you will not perform well, and ultimately you lose the client. So there's no win-win situation out there. There's only a lose-lose situation. Instead of just accepting the rate as is, if you honestly communicate with the client why the rate does not suit you, there is a 90% chance that the client will revise the rate, and that the client will come back to you with a better alternative. So that's why transparent and effective communication is so important. Third is time management. Now, when you're a freelancer, you're doing tens and hundreds of things together, from the core job to the related jobs, to scheduling calls, to scheduling meetings, attending those meetings, doing talk shows like this to kind of enhance your reach. So you're doing 10 things together, and you're managing also 10 clients together. Of course, once you've started and built that clientele, we'll talk about that later. How do you do that? But once you've kind of been in the industry for some time, you'll start with 2 clients, but at one point you can also have 12 in hand. So 12 clients will have 12 projects and 24 sub projects. So this is where things kind of become messy, and that is why time management is so important. And the only thing that can kind of save you from the entire chaos is scheduling properly. This is also something we'll be discussing later. So time management is very important, and basic relative skills to the core job. So for example, if I am a writer, my related skills are research and editing. So I need to be great at research and great at editing, because these two are the pillars of my writing. I can be 9 on 10 on writing, but I have to be a 10 on 10 in both research and editing, because that's something that will kind of enhance my final product. So any related skills that are there to your core job, you need to hone your skills in that as well. So there's that for skills that are needed. Next slide, please. Okay. Freelancing channels. Now, I think this is what most of you are interested in. How do you get these freelancing gigs? How can you convert clients? Where do you get clients? And where do you keep getting clients? Two areas for this are is LinkedIn and Upwork. LinkedIn, everybody I'm pretty sure is aware of what this is, how this works, what this does, but not many of us are aware of what this is capable of doing and how you can leverage this particular platform. So I am a LinkedIn product. I started out from LinkedIn. This is exactly where my journey began, and I believe if I was not here on this platform at the right time doing the right things, I wouldn't be here right now. So please take it very seriously when I say LinkedIn can completely change your freelancing career. How? There are two ways in which you can attract clients on this platform. Number one is through engaging with content on the platform, and number two is creating content on the on the platform. And this is irrespective of which industry you belong to. So I'm not just talking about writers, but every single freelancer or potential freelancer who wants to come into the industry needs to engage and create. Either one of those will not work. So this is one mistake I did. I did not engage with people on LinkedIn as much, and that is probably why my journey has kind of declined over the years. But that's okay, because I mean, of course, when I had to, I did. And some people only engage and not create content. That is not going to work as well. You have to do both of these things together. By engaging, I mean putting, not just commenting interested. Please don't do that. That's probably the worst thing you can do on LinkedIn. So by engaging, I mean you comment on people's post with your exact opinion about that post. Don't just put like engage on congratulatory posts. Don't just comment on job posts. Comment on actual posts that are adding value to people's life, and add a comment that adds value to that value creation. So by that I mean to put forward your opinion, what you think about that particular post, what you have in mind, or what additional information you can add to the post, respectfully of course, is how engaging helps people. Because only then people know that okay, you are a person of an opinion, and that is very important in today's generation, to have opinion, to have an opinion. So once you do that, not only your visibility in the algorithm increases because you're commenting on a post, your network will see it, and the person who the post belongs to, their network will also see it. So that's double the reach that you would get normally. So this is how engagement works, and this is how engagement really helps people. And by engagement, I mean you need to do it regularly and daily. I'm not telling you to spend 4 hours on LinkedIn. Spend 4 minutes. In those 4 minutes, find those two posts that you can add value to by commenting, by letting people know your thoughts on the same. And I think your job is done for the day. So engagement, that. Number two is creating content. Now, creating content on LinkedIn is a tricky but an extremely helpful task, because like engagement enhances and increases your reach and visibility, so does creating content. And I think clients, for the first point in contact for the clients is your engagement, and the second point in contact that converts your clients is that particular content that you create. Because looking at your posts, looking at what value you have to add and create, that's when clients think that okay, this is some person that might be helpful. And that's how I landed up gigs. So this is all I mean, that's why I'm sharing this with you, because what helped me, I want people to be benefited from that, and what mistakes I did, I want you all to avoid it. So by creating content, I mean only create content that adds value to other people's life. That's something I would say, and to your life also. So if there's a content piece that you believe you really want to write on and you're not sure how others will be benefited from it, don't refrain from doing it. Do it. Write that content, but make sure that the piece has some value addition to it, because even if one person who reads that content feels that okay, today I learned something, or today I understood or read about something I wouldn't have otherwise, or I wouldn't have gotten the chance to, I think that's where you win. And that's the only way how you create uh, worthy content on LinkedIn, because it's very important to create worthy content. Everybody's creating content. Most of the people are creating great content, but there are people who create content for the sake of it. You don't have to be one of those people. If you can't write a post every day, if that's something that's monotonous to you, don't do it. If you can't write it every alternate day, which I mean, I always suggest people to write every alternate day at least, so 3 posts a week to get that visibility, reach, and client conversion. But if that's also really tough for you, make a post, create a post one day, one time at a week. So post once, but that make sure that that one post holds so much value that the people reading that post believe and feel that okay, this is something that has created a difference, even if that difference was for a minute. So this is how clients approach you, this is how they identify you, and this is one way how freelancing becomes easy, because you don't hunt down clients on LinkedIn. This way you don't have to hunt down clients. I never, touch wood, I never hunted down even a single client on LinkedIn till date. I hope I don't have to in the future as well, but this was only because I was engaging and creating content as much as possible. I stopped engaging, but I still create content, I still post, I still put forward as many things as I can. My work schedule does not allow me to, but I still try to. And that's how I get more and more clients from the platform. It is a never ending process. So I think this is the best way how one can leverage LinkedIn. And of course, optimizing your profile, having a great heading. Always write those words in your headings for which you want to be searched for. So I have, my heading says a freelance content writer, an economics major, and a TEDx organizer. So these are the three things I want to be searched for. When your heading has those things, you and a client types in freelance content writer or anything that you are, uh, you will pop up on their search list. Doesn't matter if you pop up on the first level or the 10th, but you will. So optimizing your profile like that is very important. Number two is Upwork, the freelancing channel Upwork. So there are a number of freelancing channels, and I've probably tried all of them. Saving you the time, don't focus on any other freelancing platform other than Upwork, because this is the only legit platform that will provide you with everything that you need as a freelancer. Getting accepted to the platform is a little tricky, because they have this extensive form that one needs to fill. And I've had people who have gotten it rejected 6 times, but I also have people who have gotten it accepted the first time they filled it. The only difference is the one who got accepted the first time mentioned as much detailed information about themselves and their services as possible, and the ones who got rejected had their application presented in a very generic way. Now by that I mean, if I'm filling my Upwork form stating I'm a content writer, I can't just write that I write content. I need to be very specific about what sort of content I write, what genre I write, what niche I write, what I can do, how can I help the clients, what is it in me that is not there in the other writers waiting to get accepted into the platform. So as much information, as much detail, as much precision, but to the point possible, is the only way to get accepted onto Upwork, because they have a very demand and supply situation. They have their clients who are looking for freelancers, and they have freelancers who are looking for jobs. So it's a very demand and supply like situation. So they kind of reject applicants who do not fit their criteria, or who according to Upwork, cannot add as much value as the others waiting in line. So you have to make sure that your application stands out, is unique, and is as different from the other applicants as possible. And that can only be done if you are as precise and detailed, but detailed at the same time, precise but detailed at the same time as possible, because you are a unique personality. And as much as you depict that personality in your form, the Upwork team will 100% consider it and will accept it. So and Upwork is an international platform, so the payments are in dollars, but it's very hassle free. All you have to do is link your bank account and the payments come in monthly, or I mean by monthly if you wish to. There are settings that you can work out on, and it's a hassle free process altogether. You have jobs coming in on Upwork all the time, all day, all night from different countries. And this platform is gold and probably the holy grail of freelancers, because you get to network and interact with clients across the globe. Because of this one platform, I've been able to talk to clients across 15 countries already, and I am hoping for more. But this is one of the only places that will offer you as much exposure and opportunities as a freelancer can imagine. So, LinkedIn, you can start anytime. Upwork, you have to fill that form, you have to wait to get entered. But I believe these two things together are a lethal combination for any freelancer out there. And if done correctly, they will land you gigs, they will land you jobs, they will land you tasks as regularly as you wish. So, these are the two freelancing channels that are extremely important for any freelancer. Next slide. Now, the benefits and difficulties of being in the freelancing industry. The benefits are, of course, you can convert your passion into a profession. And coming from my experience, there is no better feeling than having to wake up every morning and doing what you love. It does not feel like a job, but you're still paid for it. So what's better than that? I don't know. So yes, it converts your passion into a profession, and I think this is one of the biggest benefits of freelancing. If you're paid for something you're good at, something you enjoy, something you really love, there is no better alternative to that. Second is business scalability. Now you can scale your freelancing business the way you want to. You can have beginner freelancers under you. You can expand your business international. You can start with domestic clients, start working with international clients across the globe, because the connectivity is such. You have to work from home most of the times. You have an internet connection. You can actually scale your business to any region of the world that you want to, and you can expand your team to increase the job tasks or the professional advancement, if you may call it. So that is easy, because there are so many upcoming freelancers. They are just waiting for a chance to work with somebody who's already in the industry, and because it's easy, they are guided, they learn. When I started out, I did not start out with such a person, but yes, in the middle of it, I did find somebody who was looking for a writer as well, and I we started working together. And I think uh, I have learned a lot in my journey, and probably 35% of it has been from that one single client itself, and that's a huge chunk. So because when you're working with somebody who's already a professional at their job, and you're doing the same job, of course, because it's your passion and you love it, you get that expert advice and that expert guidance that people don't generally get. So there is that added advantage in scaling your business, that you can either work under somebody or you can have people working under you, whichever way fits you best. Flexibility, of course, time flexibility is there, work flexibility is there. You can you want to work over the weekends, you do. You don't want to work over the weekends, you don't want to work over the weekdays, you don't. All you have to do is take care of the deadlines. As far as the deadlines are met, the clients don't care about when you're working, how much you're working, for how many hours, what time of the day. You want to work at 3 a.m., you work at 3 a.m., 3 p.m., work at 3 p.m. So the flexibility is massive. You can plan your events accordingly. There is nobody you have to kind of take a job leave from, and you can manage your personal life side by side without interfering with profession that way that either one of those are hampered. So flexibility is amazing, probably one of the other points that kind of make me love what I do. Networking, as I mentioned, Upwork, through Upwork, and all, of course, through LinkedIn also. But yes, LinkedIn provides you more of domestic clients. Upwork provides you 95% international clients. So you talk to people from different cultures, different traditions, different places. You work in different dynamics and different scenarios, which kind of enhances your exposure and also advances your mindset on that. Because when you're working in an industry, but in different regions you're working in different ways. So a client from America versus a client from the um, the United States of America and UAE, uh, both of these clients want the same thing from me, an article or maybe something content related. But both of these regions, American and Asian, they are so different regions, they work very differently, and one piece of article can be framed in completely opposite directions to suit the narrative, to suit the audience, to suit the client requirements, and to suit what they're basically targeting. So the networking options in freelancing are endless, not even massive, they're endless. Revenue upgradation, of course, everybody starts small. Each individual in the professional industry or any industry, they start small. But revenue upgradation, as in when you advance on your skill, as in when you work more on your skills, as in when you hone your skills that way while in the job, your revenue can multiply to levels that I cannot calculate, and I cannot, of course, put it on paper because it's different for everybody. But what I can tell you from experience is that if somebody starts at a particular level today, 6 months later, if they are at double or triple of what they used to earn, it's not a big deal in freelancing, because it's all about how incredible you are at your job, and the sky is the limit. So revenue upgradation is the other benefit. Difficulties, multitasking. Now, multitasking is one of the best traits anybody can have, but it is one of the most difficult things to be done when you're a freelancer. Because when you're a freelancer, you are your everything. You're your accountant, you're your administrator, you're your scheduler, you are your own editor, researcher, writer, of course, because you're writing. You are basically each and every department that even a small business has. So you are your salesperson, you're your negotiator, you are your every single thing possible. So you're doing everything all together and you're multitasking, and there is everything on your plate. So that is definitely difficult, and it becomes overwhelming at times. But this is something that can be crossed once you have had the hang of it, because sooner or later freelancers, they get used to the lifestyle of doing everything on their own, and it kind of, it might suit somebody, some people, it might not suit some people. But a major chunk of the freelancing industry works this way, and it is difficult, but it's not impossible to be attained. Second is instability, of course. Now, instability is something that comes across with every business, and as I mentioned, I consider freelancing as a business as well. So there is instability. Of course, you can start with, you'll start with zero clients. Slowly, gradually, you'll get a client, then you'll get two clients. There will be points where you'll be working with 12 clients at a time. But it is also possible that a month later you might not have any client at all, or you might have just two clients. So from 12 clients to two clients is a vast change from a professional front, from what you're doing, how much you're delivering, to a monetary front. Because this is something that every person must know. Your revenue in freelancing depends on the number of clients and projects you have. Not even number of clients, the size of the projects you have. If you have two clients but the project sizes are massive, you will have great revenue. But if you have 12 clients and they have decent project sizes, you'll still have revenue. You can have 20 clients having small projects, and all these three revenues from the 2, 12, and 20 clients will be the same. So, and this keeps on changing. You can't always have 12 clients, you can't always have big projects, you can't always have recurring projects. So the instability is definitely one of the biggest difficulties that freelancers face, and there's unfortunately not much that a person can do, except for the fact that be consistent in finding and reaching out to clients, and choosing long term clients. So choosing long term clients in this aspect helps, because then you know that okay, 6 months, 8 months, I have work, and I'm going to work on this. So that instability kind of is not eliminated, but definitely lessened down. So that's the second difficulty that follows. Third is client retention. Now, to retain clients, uh, it's not difficult, but from my experience, I believe there are more one-time job clients that come across freelancers. So there are less clients who want that long-term association. There are Of course there are many, but if I compare them to the one time uh, freelance getters to the long term ones, it is difficult for freelancers to retain those clients because of their maybe job prospect or job opportunities. But once freelancers are able to get their hands on to the clients who are actually looking forward to a medium to a long term association, I think performing your best in the first 2 months is the best way to retain those clients for the longest time. Because I have had clients who have come back to me after a year of working with them only because they were satisfied and I gave them more than they expected when we started out. And of course I plan to continue to do the same, and I encourage people to do the same. Always provide your clients with more than what they expect, because that's the only way how you can kind of retain those clients. Because there are so many freelancers there, the industry is not stopping, and you have to be the best and you have to perform to the best of not just your expectations, clients expectations, but the average expectations of the freelancing industry. That's the only way how you can retain those clients to be with you for as long as their work allows. Fourth is the industry rates, as we talked about. So if I talk about writing specifically, because I only know the industry rates for freelance writing, they are lower than the lower than I don't know what, but they are at their lowest. I have never heard of a rate so bizarre. So that's something we have to fight off, not only in India but outside as well, because international clients come with an expectation of having lower costs because we are from India or neighboring countries. But that's something that we can, it's not impossible to fight off. I have been able to sail across, so I'm pretty sure everybody else can as well. Only the power of no is going to help you through this. And understanding that what you're charging is something that you deserve. I will again repeat, do not overcharge the clients. That's not what I mean. I only mean do not undercharge yourself. So industry rates are difficult, but they are not impossible to fight off. And I don't think anytime soon the industry rates are going to change for freelancing, any industry in the freelancing economy. So the only way is to live with it and to kind of make a point of your rates being yours, defining you and not the industry. So that's the last difficulty. The next slide, please. The 3S approach. Now this is an approach I follow. This is an approach I always recommend to people: the sample, standard and scheduling approach. These three S's are one of the most important, or the most important thing that a freelancer must know and should probably gulp down as soon as possible. Samples, because a sample is your portfolio. A sample is a depiction of your work. No matter what industry you belong to, sampling will always help you in the long term, and even when you begin. Because the first thing that any client asks you, no matter how new you are in the industry or no matter how old you are in the industry, the first thing the client asks you is for samples. And if you're old in the industry, you'll already have samples because you've had so much work in the past. But if you're new and if you're just starting out, you can't sit right then to create samples. Before you enter the industry is the time when you actually create a portfolio of your work. And of course that will not be for any client, that will be your own work, but that is worth the time, because when clients come to you and ask you for samples and you present your work, on that basis the client will decide if they want to hire you or not. So these samples are your biggest shield, I would say. And to prepare them as soon as possible, probably as soon as you decide that you want to join this industry, is the right time to kind of start working on the samples. Side by side, of course, you can work on your LinkedIn, work on your Upwork, work on getting new clients, etc. But the sampling process should go on, so that when a client asks you for them, you at least have 5 to 10 samples ready. At least 5, 10 is a good number. More than 10, I don't think any client will read, but if you want to send across, please feel free to. So samples is the first S in the 3S approach. Second is standard. By standard, I mean you don't have to provide standardized deliverables, but you have to provide deliverables that are above standard, that are more than the best, that are beyond perfect. Now this might sound scary, but it's not, because by this I mean, again, there are so many freelancers in each industry, and there is a very tight competition, and the industry rates are already low. So to maintain or to ensure that the client hires you, you have to be better than the best who are already in the market, and that can only happen if you perform better than the standard, better than what the client expects out of you, better than what the client thought you will give them. And that can only happen once you brush and polish your skills, either before you enter the industry or once you have entered the industry. I'm not saying you have to, everything is to be done before you enter the industry, because I did all of these things while I was at work, while I was still working, while I was still learning, and I am still learning. I'm still not perfect, nobody is. So you have to keep on brushing up and becoming better, even when you have, even when you're at the top of your game. So standard is the second S that is very important in the 3S approach. Third is scheduling. Now, by scheduling, this is again an extension to the time management point. I schedule my work in a very weekly or orderly manner, because, and I mean, you can do it weekly, you can do it daily, you can do on a monthly basis, but make sure that you follow a disciplined and a very strict scheduling process, either through to-do lists, or you can maintain a diary, you can maintain a calendar, you can do it the way you want to, but make sure that you do it in a disciplined way. So for 2 years I've been doing it on a weekly manner. I started out on a daily basis, that this is what I'll do today, this is what I'll do tomorrow, etc. Now I do it on a weekly basis, because monthly for me is a very elongated timeline, and I can't really decide about every single task that is to be done on different days for a month. And daily is a very shortened timeline, because that kind of restricts my day. Weekly is a very is a balance between the long term and the short term approach in this monthly versus daily game. Because when you schedule your work on a weekly basis, and by work I don't just mean the deliverables, by work I also mean the clock, the calls, the feedback calls, the follow up calls, any meetings that are any video call meetings that are needed, any client meetings, offline client meetings that are to be presented, or any new client calls that might be there, because you'll keep getting messages, and you will also of course reach out to clients, they'll reply. So that all of that is included in the scheduling process. So when you schedule each and everything uh, on a weekly basis, by weekly I also mean on Monday I'll do all of this, on Tuesday I'll do all of this, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depends on you if you want to do it or not. This will give you the flexibility of interchanging your work from one day to another, when you want it, whenever you want it to, except the calls, because calls are pre-scheduled. So you can't just tell your client that I'm not available today, I'll talk to you tomorrow. No, that can't be done. But of course, the deliverables that you're working on, the articles, the projects that you're doing, you can manage it based on the deadlines on any day possible for that particular week. So you have a flexible schedule in hand. So if I have to probably work on 2 articles tomorrow and 1 article the day after, but I have a lunch or a birthday or any family get together or an emergency that follows tomorrow, I can shift my work, the 2 articles that are to be done tomorrow, on Wednesday, or I can do them today. So the flexibility that follows through scheduling makes your work very easy. And I think this is one point that everybody who is actually serious about freelancing right now should note down or remember, or just put it in your brain in a way that when you start working on projects and with clients, the first thing you'll do is maintain a schedule and do it from day one, because later on it kind of becomes difficult to keep a track and follow the schedule. So if you have, even if you have one client with one project, you make a schedule of that. It's okay. I know you, anybody can remember one project, one client, one deadline. But when you start off with this 111, then move forward to 2 clients, 2 projects, 2 deadlines, and then move forward to the 20 clients, 20 projects, 20 deadline, this entire process will become simpler for a freelancer to accept and to retain. So the scheduling part is the last 3S approach, with the last S in the 3S approach, which is extremely important. Next slide. This is probably the end of the talk from my side. Just do it is the slogan of Nike. I'm pretty sure everybody knows. I always say this in the end. you will listen to a lot of speakers, you will listen to a lot of talks, you'll talk to a lot of industry experts, you will read a lot of content online about whatever you want to do, you will read articles, blogs, news articles, you will go through the statistics, etc. None of it will help you to actually do what you're planning to do, unless and until you really decide to jump onto it and just do it for that point in time. You don't want to do it later, you change your mind, things don't work out, that's a different story altogether. I'm only talking about today. So today you just have to do it, uh, uh, before it becomes too late, or before it gets too late, sorry, before it gets too late. Because at this point in time, the more you read, the more you research, the more you listen, the more confused you'll get, the more questions you'll have in mind. And it was a blessing in disguise for me that I did not have any guidance, I did not have any industry expert, I did not listen to any talk, because there weren't freelancing talks back then. I mean, I'm talking about 2 years ago, it's not a long time, but we did not have freelancers talking about freelancing back then. So I did not have any article or blog or statistics that I could follow up on and then decide if I want to join this industry. None of that happened. So I think that was one reason why I just did it. I just went on with the flow. I just kind of jumped onto it and it worked out in my favor. So think as less as you can to convert your passion into a profession, because if it works out, it will be the best decision of your life. And the last is my favorite quote by Najwa Zaveen. She says, "These mountains that you're carrying, you were only supposed to climb." So don't take the difficult part of freelancing, or the expectations that you hold from yourself or your parents hold from you, so much to yourself that you carry it with yourself. You're only supposed to climb these hurdles. You're only supposed to get over these hurdles. You're only supposed to get over the difficulties and climb them over. You're not supposed to carry them with you, because the more you do, the more it will push you down. So I think that is my favorite quote because of what it means. And this has helped me kind of put the difficult parts of the career aspect, because of course there are a lot of pros, there are a lot of cons, but the only way you can move forward is by putting back the cons, putting them back behind your back. So yeah, I think that is my time, that is my talk. And I hope I have been able to give all of you a fair rough idea about what freelancing is, how you can start, what you can do. If anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them right now. We have a question from Rohit. Do we need professionalism in our skill? See, by professionalism, I don't exactly know what you mean. Uh, if you don't have a professional skill, then how will we be accepted among the freelancers already in the field? Of course. So if you don't have that skill, I so if you're asking me how do you acquire skills if you don't have them already, then most people choose freelancing with the existing skills that they have. But of course, if you are somebody who's looking to become a freelancer and you're also looking for skills, there are a lot of educational and coaching and different arenas that you can explore to get that skill onto you. It will take time, it might take more time compared to somebody who already has those skills. But just like we learned mathematics, we learned economics, we're learning engineering, we're learning different aspects of academics in school. The same way you can learn about those skills. The only difference is the skill to acquire it, you need to practice it, and you need to practice it on a daily basis. uh, Other than that, professionalism, if you mean how you talk or how you approach the clients or how you communicate, converse with the clients, I don't think that's a major issue. Because when I started out, I was 19, 20 maybe. So I wasn't the most professional person in the world, I still might not be. But that is something that you learn with time. And of course, you have to maintain professionalism in a way you don't cross the line. You make sure that there is a certain communicational respect, mutual respect between you and your client. All of that is very normal. So professionalism, as a trait or characteristic, is not extremely important to start. Because clients these days are becoming very open about the fact that freelancers are very young, so they're okay if a 19, 18, 20, 21, 22-year old is working with them, because all they care about is the outcome. So yeah, so I think professionalism in that matter is not very important. But yes, if you don't have that professional skill, then it is difficult for you to even enter the industry. And to do that, you need to first make sure that you hone those skills on your own through different, of course, aspects. What kind of things come under content writing apart from? Okay, so content writing is a very vast industry on its own. Apart from articles and blogs, we have copywriters who, create these ads, or not ads, but these taglines. So just do it. So just do it was a tagline that a copywriter created. Then there are advertisement writers who write about the ads of a company. There are marketing writers who write about the ads and different types of content that is showcased on the social media platforms. Then there are white paper writers, there are case study writers, there are niche writers. For example, there are writers in the industry who only talk about cryptocurrency or who only talk about lifestyle. There are magazine writers who write creative and informal content in writing in magazines. Then there are business and finance writers like myself. Of course, I work in different industries as well, but my expertise is business and finance. So business and finance writers, they mostly cover the areas of the financial markets and the business entrepreneurship areas. So apart from articles, there are short form contents, which are social media posts, there are copywriting posts, and there are advertisements that go on not just on the social media platforms, but brochure content. So even physical content papers that are spread across the brochures, or maybe like a many people even give their contact cards to writers to curate. Then there are website writers who create the entire content for the website. So it's a very vast field. Who are the clients who hire people for content writing? Are the media companies? The just as I explained, as vast as the content areas are, the clientele is also very vast. For somebody like me, I majorly have individual clients who own businesses in the finance or business world. I also have clients who are wealth managers. I have clients who are investors. I have clients who who have their own course material about the financial markets to be put forward. So the content part I handle. So for somebody like me, the clients are in the specific domain. Book publishers are clients who look for book writers. So book writing, ebook writing is also another um, uh, another area of content writing apart from articles. Now there are also media companies also, of course, they also hire writers. But honestly, if you ask me, a content client is present everywhere, because every business needs content. Every type of business, big, small, retail, wholesale, whatever the business is, whatever industry they belong to, they need content, because only through content they can express what they are selling. So I also have a client who is into photo editing right now, so I'm working with him on his website for the content. So he's a completely different niche, a photo editing niche, a photography or a creative niche, or a picture polishing niche. So like that, the clients also differ, and the clients can range from literally anybody in any industry wanting any product or service to be showcased to their audience, because each product and service requires content to back it up, because that's the only way you explain things. So the clientele is very, very, very dynamic. Okay, feedback. Yeah. Anything else?
So yeah, you can unmute yourself and
Thank you so much, ma'am. That's all I think.
We have a question. Do you want me to take it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. In terms of writing, now, if you say how do you choose words, that's a different thing. If you say how do I choose keywords, that's also a different thing. I think you meant keywords, so that's how I'll answer. If that's not something you meant, please let me know. Keywords, yes, there are tools that help us with keywords. There are many tools that kind of provide us the trending keywords and the density of the same and the volume and how much it's being used. But I kind of follow a different approach. When I'm writing and I have to incorporate SEO and keywords in between, I think from a reader's perspective. So, for example, if I'm writing what is the forex market, I will mention the phrase what is the forex market at least 2 to 4 times in my entire article, because as a reader, if I want to read about the forex market, this is the first thing I'll type on Google. Now, other than that, the only way to, not the only way, but the way that I follow is to look at keywords not as keywords but as normal phrases that are mostly used on Google. So if I'm writing about the forex market again, I will kind of read articles about the forex market as part of my research game, but also focus on the specific terms that is present in all those articles. So if I'm reading 10 articles and out of those 10 articles, 8 articles mention the forex market is the biggest financial market existing. So now this is a keyword phrase, and if 8 articles are using that phrase, then it means this is driving traffic, this is driving audience. So more than tools, I kind of depend, number one, on my reader's perspective, that if I was a reader, what are the keywords I would write, what are the questions I would ask, what are the phrases I would write. And number two, I do it through my researching aspect. When I'm looking at different articles and looking at different chunks of content, I kind of try to understand what are the basic and the most commonly used phrases in those articles, because when you're researching, you generally don't go beyond 2 pages of Google, and ranking on the first and second page of Google means that your content is the best on the search engine. So yeah, so following that approach helps me. And because see, everybody in the industry is following the same keyword tool. There might be hundreds of keyword tools, but all those 100 keyword tools also provide keywords on the basis of statistics. So the people are also using the same thing in the same way possible. Then how does your content stand out? So to kind of curb the time and urgency and effort that goes in, I think the two approaches of the readers and the first 2 pages of Google prospect kind of helps figure out the best keywords that would suit the content. You're most welcome, Anand. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you. Most welcome.
Thank you so
It was a
much,
pleasure.
ma'am, for this wonderful session.
Yeah.
You're most
Am I?
welcome.
Is there a lag from your side? Can anyone confirm?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. There is a lag from your side, I think.
Yes, ma'am, it's all right. There was a little bit lag, but yeah, you were audible.
Okay. Anything to be repeated?
No, ma'am, no, ma'am. Perfectly all right.
No,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
it
No.
was very wonderful session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Thank
joining
you.
us
Thanks,
today.
Yes, ma'am.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank
One more thing. I, from the behalf of SCS, I would like to present to you a small memento from our college. So I would be presenting my screen. So just give me a moment.
Sure thing.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is a small memento from our college and from the whole SCS family for you for giving us your time and enlightening us on this topic. So thank you, ma'am, for coming at our college and sharing your insights. It was a
This is
great session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a great session. I had a wonderful time. Thanks to the entire team. Thanks to everybody who joined. I hope I was helpful in whatever ways possible. And thank you for having me, really. And for that memento, it's really amazing. Please WhatsApp it to me so I can have it saved. Really means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. And before everyone leaves, I would request everyone to like switch on their camera for a few minutes so that we can take a screenshot.
Perfect.
Guys, you can switch on your camera. Cool. Uh, so I can see like around 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 people with their camera switched on. So am I right or uh, do- okay? So let's wait for like 2 more seconds and then we can take the question. Abhishek, thanks. Okay, Ashutosh, Paki, Aditi, Abhishek, are you guys clicking on it or should we take the screenshot? Okay, cool. So thank you everyone for joining today's workshop, and we have posted the feedback form in the chat box, so you can fill it. So yeah, that was it. Thank you,
Awesome.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Are we done? Should I leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And please fill the feedback form before you go. Won't take more than a minute.